Good afternoon, everyone, or still good morning if you're joining us from the West Coast, which I see. And buenas tardes, boa tarde for our friend from Mexico and all the beautiful Spanish-speaking country in Brazil. So we are here today with David Lee, the founder of Cultural Cuba. And David, the plan for today is to take us on a culinary journey. Huh?
That's right. That's right. Hi, everyone. Welcome and thank you so much for taking a little time out of your day to join us on this journey. As Dominique said, yes, we've done a few webinars already, so maybe some of you have already seen some of the other webinars. Some were a little more general about just what's going on in Cuba and what Cultural Cuba, my company, is all about, and how we treat you and your clients and what we do. And then but I love this, that we're also doing some that are a little more themed, special focuses. So for those of you who haven't seen some of the other ones, today we're going to talk at first all about Cuban cuisine. And then maybe that'll be 5-10 minutes. And then I'll also go back and cover a bit more about, of course, Cultural Cuba, trip planning, the latest and greatest of what's going on in Cuba as they come out of this COVID situation, and we can move forward from there. But let's start with the cuisine. David. So I'm gonna share my screen right now.
Yeah. We can see you with your cigar and your rum, huh? You see?
Okay. Yes, that's often how you will see me. Okay, so now you see the opening screen here, I hope.
Yeah.
Just as an aside, the picture on the top above our logo is a view from the rooftop pool deck of the Kempinski Manzana Hotel.
That's where I am.
Yes, it is. So it's a gorgeous hotel right in the center of Old Havana and Central Havana. We'll talk more about that stuff a little bit later on. But yeah, for those clients that truly want to be in a larger and definitely 5-star hotel, this is the place. We actually put most of the clients in this accommodation. Okay. In fact, I'll come back to this also later, because let's jump into the situation with food. I can't tell you how many times I hear people say, oh, we're really looking forward to going to Cuba. We've heard so many amazing things about it, the music, the art, architecture, stepping back in time, all of those things that people think about Cuba. But then I often hear people say, but of course we know, we're not going there for the food. I hear people say that's why we call this no longer just rice and beans, is because that's often what I hear too. Like, I heard the rice and beans are okay, but again, you're not going to Cuba for the food. Well, I will tell you, nothing could be further from the truth. That may have been a more accurate statement several years ago. But with the advent of something called the paladar, a uniquely Cuban kind of invention, it has really created this complete evolution when it comes to Cuban cuisine. The paladar, the short explanation is, it is a private restaurant. It started as literally one table in someone's kitchen, for a home-cooked meal. And it has evolved. The Cuban government recognized that they needed to start allowing a certain amount of entrepreneurism to exist within to boost their economy. And one of the easy ones to start out with was restaurants, and that's how the paladar kind of came into fruition. So it is sanctioned by the government, but they do not own any part of a paladar. It literally is a private restaurant. It starts inside someone's home, and now today, so it has gone through this evolution from just a handful of these places with 1 or 2 tables in people's homes to hundreds of paladars. Again, the basis of this is they are still homes. So when you walk into a paladar, it will often resemble a home. It could be out in the country, it could be in a city mansion that has been converted. Sometimes you're literally walking into an apartment building. You'd never imagine there's a restaurant there. Open the door to the apartment, and voila, you see all the tables. It looks like a restaurant. But I will tell you that, if you go through a secret door in the back, you will find this is where the family lives. Paladars still are family homes. If it's a mansion, the family might live upstairs, but the entire downstairs has been converted into a restaurant. And at the end of the day, this is where the best of the Cuban food is being served today. It's there's no shortage of talent. The chefs are amazing. They are very creative. So it's not just, everything from the traditional kind of home style Cuban cuisine to fusions of Cuban cuisine mixed with, other parts of Latin and South America. Also, you've got Cuban Asian fusion. It's really, there's no limit to the creativity and the quality of the food. So this is why I'm educating people now that not only do you go to Cuba for the food, it is one of the highlights. And on our itineraries, every single person that goes to Cuba will dine in a paladar every day. That's the only place we send the clients. And they are, it's part of the adventure. Every single meal will be different than the next in a different location. It's a tremendous amount of fun and absolutely delicious. So enough of me talking about it, though. I want to share with you a video. This is hot off the presses that my team has put together. You are all of you are the first people to see it. It was shot, like I said, so recently that you will experience when we do some scenes like the one that's right here on the screen right now. Normally, you'll never see this in Cuba. You'll never see streets that look like this. This is, a COVID street in Havana. You're never going to see something with this little traffic and this few people. I mean, Havana is a very, very alive city. So I'll play this. We're going to highlight just a few of the many paladars that in this video, and then I'll come back and we'll talk a little bit more about what you're going to see.
We're all excited to see the video, David.
El Carbón is located in Old Havana. This private restaurant first opened on 2012 by Chef Ivan and his partner at a gorgeous colonial house from 1766. Today, Chef Ernesto took a time to prepare a delicious and generous portion of ceviche with the use of fresh lime juice, corn grains, and purple onion, also adding dried fruits, altogether resulting in a flavor blast only rivaled by the scent of a splendid grilled lobster smoked on charcoal and set on a bed of vegetable slices. Fresh produce is a must-do that explains the day-to-day changing menu, never missing house special dishes like the lamb ribs, crab risotto, and the revered suckling pig. In our days, it holds a great culinary reputation and has been visited by numerous celebrities like Will Smith, Mick Jagger, and personalities from the United Nations. Chef Ivan first studied in the reputed restaurant La Ferminia, a project led by Fidel Castro with the aim of catering and hosting political and diplomatic encounters with important personalities of the world. Later on, he traveled to Europe and took courses in Portugal and Germany prior to establishing a restaurant with a menu that portrayed his ideas and own creations. La Guarida is a spoiled on every list, both for their history and food. A necessary comment is the Oscar award-winning film Strawberry and Chocolate that gave much of today's atmosphere and decor. This afternoon, Chefs Axel and Fidel invited us into the kitchen to witness the preparation of spinach crepes with beet juice, a hot yet balanced sweet salty appetizer, preceded by curry chicken in a sauce of caramel onions and raisins, finishing with a crunchy, silky, suckling pig that melts the mouth on the first sight. A trip of reckoning and learning to Europe will provide some definite influences that will mold their way of updating typical with modern, but never missing the Cuban essence. La Reserva's culinary project stems from the successful private small hotel founded in 2016 by 3 European architects and 1 Cuban entrepreneur. In keeping with times, they are also betting for self-supplying in the future and also using ingredients from small private businesses. Surtido Crujiente is a crunchy mix of fish, chicken, and black bean croquettes with shrimp chests and fried eggplant sticks. Dipping them all into a silky baracoa chocolate sauce is to have the whole experience. Their style focuses on Cuban regional food after researching for old recipes from the central and the eastern part of the country. So far, they oppose the idea of having a leading chef, so if you're expecting to complement his food, be ready to be surrounded by a team of 4 cooks. Isla del Coco, or Coconut Island, is a recipe brought from the Isle of Youth. They start by marinating the chicken breast in a carrot, squash, and coconut milk sauce, then grilling the piece, serving it finally with a sweet corn pie and smoked vegetables. Sweet, salty, spectacular. Last but not least, tropical tart is an attempt to diminish the bad reputation of Cuban desserts being a little too sweet. Pie dough is filled with a custard cream of mamey, a sacred fruit for Cubans, and then glazed fruits in season bring texture to this colorful, refreshing tart, this time made with guava, pineapple, and papaya.
Bravo! Spectacular, spectacular, David. You know, I have never seen it before myself. Huh? Wow.
That's true. That's true.
Wow.
When I said hot off the presses, I meant it. Yeah, I honestly, I've watched it obviously several times now, and I can't watch it without getting a little bit hungry myself.
You can't see it, but I'm emotional because I did not expect, you know, maybe homemade cooking, more family style. This is Michelin star at home. This is amazing, and I think a tour of the gastronomy would be enough for me. 3 days, and that's all I want to do.
Yes, and
one
so
at the time.
absolutely, and I'll tell you. I mean, so this is what I'm trying to explain: is that it doesn't matter what every trip that you take to Cuba with us will involve this type of culinary tour. You have to eat. You're going to have breakfast, lunch, and dinner every single day, and I will tell you right now, every meal will be like that. It will be an adventure. And in fact, not every meal, but we will certainly include, for those that want it, and most people do, at least one cooking class, where you get to go into one of these amazing kitchens with these great chefs and prepare a meal and then enjoy it. It's a lot of fun, and the Cubans celebrate the cuisine and the kitchen, and they understand it's part of one of the biggest joys in all of our lives. And it's a way of being together, and so that is just a big part of every single trip.
And we see the price, huh, David? I mean, $20 to $60
yes,
per
yes,
person for
yes, and
wow,
right, and that's also a very important point, and I wanted to kind of highlight it here because Normally in our trips, everything we do is custom and designed around the clients that you all have and how many of them and what their interests are. So because it's usually smaller groups, we don't want to put people onto prefix type menus, right? Where we don't usually include the food. Almost everything else is included in one of our trips. But we definitely select the polydars. That's very important. One of the key reasons that's so important is if you could notice from the video, if we don't reserve these tables in advance, the places will be full. A lot of the restaurants have 3 tables, 5 tables. So we choose these restaurants very carefully. We're always vetting the polydars. There are hundreds of them now. So we're constantly checking to make sure that the old ones are continuing to be of the level, quality, service and quality that they earn their spot on our itinerary. And then we check out all the new ones to see if they're worthy of making it to the itinerary as well. But we reserve the polydars, but we don't want to necessarily fix the menus in advance. And so we want the clients to, like real people, when they travel, we want them to order off menu. And therefore, sometimes you're really hungry and you want to have a huge meal. Sometimes you just want to do a bunch of tapas and share with everyone. And that's why, like I said, we don't usually include the price of the meals in with our multi-day tours. But again, as you see here, it's not a lot of money, right? I mean, $20 to $60, to be honest, $75 per person per day. And you are dining in the very best of all of the restaurants, and including drinks too. And so, you don't need to bring a lot of cash with you to be able to, dine out. And a lot of the polydars also, not US, of course, US credit cards are still not accepted in Cuba, but for those that are coming from Latin, South America, from Europe, their credit cards work. And many of the polydars do take credit cards. So it's not all cash. But anyway, that's just to give you a quick idea of the range when it comes to that. Before I move on, why don't we make a quick pause, and if there's any specific questions about the cuisine, about the polydars, about dining in Cuba, I can address those right now.
Yeah, I do not see any. I guess the video speaks by itself. We kind of speechless.
Okay.
And for the one who have not had lunch yet, that's not
yes.
good.
And I will tell you, I mean, it's really varied. So, yes, this is like Michelin star quality food, but there's also, of course, we mix in some more, just home style type restaurants where, you can have the ubiquitous Cuban sandwich, which, of course, if you ask a Cuban, what's a Cuban sandwich? A Cuban sandwich in Cuba is simply a sandwich. But it's, there's a wide variety of cuisine and food. But yes, the talent is amazing. One other thing I'll add is that what's limiting the food situation in Cuba is the ingredients themselves, right? The embargo is a real thing. It does affect them greatly. So as a result, I'll call it maybe the silver lining. When you are dining at polydars, they are organic. To be a successful restaurant in Cuba, especially on the high end, you have either you own your own farm, or you have a relationship with a private small farmer who brings you every single morning fresh produce, fresh meat. You have a relationship with local fishermen. All the fish is fresh, caught. And as a result, the menus change every single day. I mean, the chefs, they even if they wanted to have a fixed menu, and they try, but they would have to be very creative in changing it all the time based on the ingredients that they are able to obtain, that day, that week.
Well, that's a big
so
plus, huh?
it's a huge for those of us who are foodies. I mean, it's music to our ears. This is what you want, right? Okay.
I personally never thought of Cuba going for a culinary tour only, because I see now that I can just focus on that and do something else at another trip. But if I've been to Cuba before, I will definitely go for something that's specific, a culinary tour. You imagine?
Of course. And I would say let's say yes, a culinary tour could be the focus, but of course you're going to do a lot of other things as well in between, right? I mean, in between eating and dining. But yes, we have where more and more foodies are starting to discover the joy of going to Cuba, literally for the food as a highlight. So,
but without your video, I think many of us would have just guessed maybe it was just getting better, but not at that level. I see a question from Sune asking, what is the name of the latest restaurant in the video?
the which one? The third one?
The latest. Well, your video is so fresh out of print, you said. So
well, is the question the newest, like of the ones that I showed there? Which one is the newest one?
The third one.
The third one is actually brand new, because it's part of one of the boutique hotels that we put clients in. It's called La Reserva, and we used to have, so we often have clients stay there. It's a beautiful converted home. The rooms are absolutely gorgeous. It's filled with Cuban art. Every room is unique. It's very small. It has 10 rooms total. And they always had pretty nice breakfasts, but the owners just recently decided that they wanted to up their restaurant game, and that's why that one is a very, very new paladar. Most people have never dined there yet. So I would say yes, it's probably the newest paladar to make it onto our itineraries. But there are so many more. I mean, we don't have the time. I could only feature 3 restaurants right there, but trust me, there is there's more than enough restaurants that if they're, if someone were to do a 2-week trip and only be in Havana, even, they will have a different meal for, for every lunch and dinner every single day. So back to a little bit more about just us in general. We, like I said, we started just over 9.5 years ago. We were one of the first companies to do private Cuba. You might be familiar with, there are some companies that have been doing like what we call the big bus tour on fixed itineraries, and that's been around for a while. That's not us. We will do trips for any size of group, from literally 1 person to 100 people. The size of the group doesn't matter, but it is private. We create the journey from scratch. We create the itinerary to meet the needs of you and your clients, and therefore, the length of trip doesn't matter. The type of places that they want to stay, the things that they want to do, we build it all around, around them. Of course, we don't expect people to necessarily be experts on Cuba. That's where we come in. So we give you a lot of guidance. And, often, yes, it happens that people really just want us to pretty much pick out the itinerary for them, and we will do that. But we always give plenty of options. So when people say how long of a trip, perfect place for even a 3-night trip. Long weekend trips are, I would say close to 50% of our trips are 3 to 4 nights. And, the question then is, if they're going to do a shorter trip, for sure it's going to be Havana focused. You have to spend some time in Havana. That's the seat of culture. There's incredible nightlife, incredible restaurants, the best accommodations. So any trip to Cuba has to, should begin in Havana for sure. So I would say 3, 4, 5-night trips. We would say they're going to stay in Havana. We will definitely take them out into the countryside on a 4 or 5-night trip for at least a day trip, but keep it Havana based. If they have more time, 5, 6 to 8 nights or longer, then of course we go further out into the country to some of the other really fascinating cities, and then they'll spend the night and try out different accommodations as we move them through the island. But something to really understand about the island, it's very big, and there are long drives in between the cities where you would next want to like have enough time to spend the night, such as Cienfuegos, Trinidad. That's a 4 to 4.5 hour drive. So that is why we say, when we're thinking of moving beyond Havana, we just want to make sure that you understand, so you can explain it to your clients. They're going to need another couple nights to add to their trip if they want to do that kind of experience. Another thing that a lot of people aren't aware of, in addition to just the general culture of art, music, and the cuisine, as we talked about, and architecture, and enjoying the classic cars and everything, Cuba is world-class scuba diving, world-class fishing, especially fly fishing, and also birding. One of the best destinations, I'm telling you, in the world for all of those things. So when you have clients that are interested in that, you should absolutely think about Cuba. I happen to be an avid scuba diver. I will tell you that in the top 3 scuba diving experiences, and I've done it all over the world, are in the Gardens of the Queen in Cuba. It's just a fascinating experience. So let's talk a little about logistics real quick. Usually we prefer to have at least a couple of months because again, everything we do is custom. I keep hearing these days that one of the things coming out of COVID right now is people are having shorter planning time, or they're being a little more last minute about booking travel. Of course, we will meet the needs of you and your client. So don't hesitate to reach out to us. I mean, honestly, if someone says, guess what, I want to go to Cuba and I want to go next week, call us up. We probably will figure out a way to make it happen. Just because we prefer 2 months doesn't mean we all know how it works. The client is always right, and we rarely say no. It would be an unusual circumstance for us to have to turn down the request. As far as like commissions and all of that is concerned, primarily we do net pricing. We're finding that travel advisors prefer it. This way, we are happy for you to make as much money as you reasonably can. And again, our trips are not just booking a hotel, right? So our trips include a full-time private guide, a full-time driver, and transportation, like that beautiful car that you see there. That's one of our fleet. And therefore, when you are paid on a trip to Cuba, it's on the whole ball of wax. So the whole trip is commissionable. Okay. We have adopted very, very flexible booking cancellation policy. This is all, since COVID. The game has changed. We all know the game has changed. It used to be, honestly, that Cuba travel for us was non-refundable, honestly. That's no longer the case. Let me just focus on the line at the bottom, because that's the most important for both of us, right? We will never issue any penalties for trip postponement. We want to protect your commission. We want to protect our hard work. We obviously don't want people to cancel. If there's a COVID related reason, we're trying to encourage them to move the trip, not cancel it, right? And like I said, that's important for both of us. However, we also know that's not always possible. And therefore, that's why we've implemented what we feel is a very generous cancellation policy too. So I touched on some of this already. We are all about custom curated itineraries, very exclusive insider access. It's taken me many, many years to get to this level of connection within Cuba. And, at this point, there's not much we can't accomplish. And when we talk about private, for our clients, when they are saying, okay, we want to take them for a rum tasting, they're having a private rum tasting with the director of Havana Club in a private tasting room, not open to the public. The room literally where the head, sommeliers meet to decide on the next blends for the company. And that's where you're doing your private tasting. When we say you're going on a cigar factory tour, Our clients don't get jumped in with a group and end up with some government guide on a group tour of the cigar factories where they really don't get to see half of the factory. No, for us, we're talking literally private. The guide is taking them through. In fact, they get to sit down at a rolling station right next to the guy who's rolling a Cohiba, and they learn how to do it, in the same seat where they've been rolling cigars for 100 years. Every one of our guides, our drivers, vehicles, everything, we do not outsource to the Cuban government. This is my team in our headquarters in Havana. It's our operations team. So again, there's no middleman between Cultural Cuba and your clients. This is it. We're not a tour operator. We're not outsourcing this stuff. Just want you to understand it. It makes the world of difference. Our guides are hand selected by us. They're trained by us. These are the kind of people that they have so much pride and love for their country. They're fascinating, they're interesting. They speak, of course, in addition to fluent Spanish, they speak fluent English. We have a guide that speaks fluent Mandarin, French, Italian, so we can cater to so many different types of clients. But again, the guides, this is where it begins and ends, because guides are the most important thing. They are like traveling around with a local friend who's just fun to be with, and they want to show you their country and their culture. That's what it's like. It's not someone shouting at you through a microphone out a bus window and pointing out statues. That's not a trip. That's not what a trip with Cultural Cuba is like. Okay, I'm going to jump back on screen, and I can answer your questions.
Okay, thank you very much, David. And each time I watch your webinar or listen to you, I feel like, when are we doing a fun trip? Because that's the first thing I'm thinking of. Being in those nice cars, but now I see the culinary aspect of it, which I didn't expect as much, I have to say. So
yeah, and we will. I mean, we're waiting. Yeah, the reason we haven't launched fam trips. So let me tell everyone this. Cuba was closed for almost all of 2020. I mean, they shut down the international airport in order to stop the spread of COVID, and they succeeded. There were only about 10,000 cases as of the beginning of December, and very few fatalities. But then they opened the airport. Cuban Americans came flooding in to bring money and things to their relatives in Cuba. They also brought COVID, and so the cases started to skyrocket. They didn't shut down the airport, but they had to implement a quarantine. And because their vaccine wasn't ready, and Cuba cannot afford to buy the vaccines from the US or Russia or anywhere else. They had to make their own. So they, as a result, they implemented this quarantine, which is why we're not, our clients can go right now. They can fly in, they can go, but then they have to be in their hotel for a minimum of 2 days while they wait for the PCR test results to come in. And so therefore, obviously, we're not selling it today. Mm-hmm. But our first groups are arriving at the end of August. Actually, I have a couple of diving trips, and we are very confident that from September 1, I'm not really concerned at this stage because, like I said, the vaccine is being distributed next week. So we're for all of you on the call, start selling Cuba. We will start booking from actual arrivals from September. Mm-hmm. I think we can be very safe in doing that, and hopefully not have to move any of those trips.
Okay. So we can start preparing fam trips.
Yes. September. So we will start announcing fam trips for the fall. Absolutely.
Voilà.
Yeah.
Melissa, that answer your question, and you even say our assistant in planning a personal fam as well, huh? Of course. Huh?
Oh yeah, love to do that. So put your own group together. Yeah. We do this all the time. We can't. I want you to understand. The difference with Cuba, unlike some other places. The Cuban government doesn't participate in FAMs. There's no tourism board that is going to help us, support this. So we may have to charge certainly something for them. but we will make it as low as possible. And if you want to put a group together, if you put a group together that's all travel advisors, we're going to get it down as low as we possibly can. If you as an advisor want to bring a group of friends and family, we'll make your trip completely free and, you know, charge something for the rest of the group, but we'll work with you on that. I mean, but here's the thing, right? Cuba needs to get their tourism back on track. We need people to go. You are our ambassadors to the world. We want you to be out there experiencing it, posting about it, you know, and so of course we want you to come.
Mhm.
Absolutely.
Can imagine all of us in those beautiful bright color cars, or I mean, it's going to be all over the internet with.
It is, you know, we all post all the time, right? All the travel bars are traveling all the world. I'll tell you,
pictures.
People's posts from Cuba blow up social media.
Yes.
It's just amazing. It's a photographer's dream location.
Mm-hmm.
Every street you turn the corner, you're like another. Oh my God, I got to take this picture. It's like nothing you've ever seen.
Today we didn't point out the arts, but the whole city is full of arts on the walls everywhere. So really very picturesque.
Art, music pouring out of every cafe and bar during the day, at night. The nightlife scene is, you know, so if you've got people who are, you know, ready to go, young, energetic, or not young, doesn't matter what age. You know, the thing about the Cuban people too, they're very, you know, there's not what's the word for it? I guess when you go out at night to any club or bar, it's not like you're in this scene where if you're in your 50s, 60s, 70s, you're going to feel like you're in a bar surrounded by 20-year-olds. They're wondering why you're there. It's never like that. It's just very open, everybody dancing with everybody else, and very welcoming kind of environment that way. So
Melissa is asking if she's admiring the art over your shoulders, David. Is that from Cuba?
You know what? You know, I should just say yes, but then I would be not telling the truth. It's not actually, and I'm glad you like it. I think it's one of those things that it's good from far. Actually, I think it was like my son's girlfriend painted that thing herself. It's a student art, and I kind of liked it, and so I put it up on my wall in my office. My entire home has a lot where we're very into art, so we've got like you know, in other rooms we have art everywhere. A lot of it is Cuban art, but we are in the process of moving. So otherwise, you know, I could do a little Cuban art tour, just through the house, but yeah, not today. The walls are almost all bare. They're almost all bare right now. There's like nothing to show anyone, but. I myself am also really into photography, and one of my closest friends is like the preeminent living Cuban photographer. He's the head photographer for the National Ballet of Cuba. So he's a portrait photographer, and his partner, and this is an interesting fact, is one of the top landscape photographers and baseball photographers in Cuba, who happens to be Fidel Castro's son. Just to be clear, again, let's stay out of the politics. His name is Alex. Alex is not political. He's the state photographer for Cuba and has been, you know, ever since he was in his 20s. And so he's a very nice person. He's become a good friend. But you know, this is the kind of thing we can do. You know, like I can make sure that for people who are interested, you know, they'll get an opportunity to meet one of Fidel's sons when they come to Cuba. But he's a photographer, he's an artist. And, you know, he loves to talk about his art and show his art, does not like to get into the political kind of conversations. But, you know, it's a really fun place to be, and there's fascinating, interesting people to meet. So.
The key said the clients have loved the food in Cuba, and I have booked ladies who have felt very comfortable walking the street to restaurant at night. Huh? Well,
yes,
awesome.
Thank you for bringing that up. It is one of the safest places you can travel in the world. There is, first of all, there's no guns. Well, I shouldn't say that. The military certainly has guns. It's illegal for anyone else to have any kind of weapons. No one has them. That's not part of the culture. There's virtually no violent crime. It's just not a thing that you witness very often. Sure, pickpocket type tourism kind of crime, but very, very small. Very safe for women, females traveling with other females, middle of the night, not a problem. If anything, if you get lost walking around in Cuba, you're going to find someone who's going to help you get to your hotel or something like that. But it is a very, very safe place. Now, of course, when you're traveling with us, you're going to have your own private guide anyway. Whether it's a group of women or not, you'll have that. So you'll feel even extra safe. But yes, the truth is that she said, yeah, it's a nice place for that kind of travel. Also, I will tell you, unusual for a socialist type or communist type society, very welcoming LGBTQ, extremely progressive when it comes to that. There are gay bars and nightclubs. Raul Castro's daughter, Maria, is a huge proponent of those kind of LGBTQ rights. She brought back the Gay Pride Parade to Havana, and it has been going every single year since she brought it back, except for during this 2020 because of COVID. But it's a unique place when it comes to that. A lot of people don't realize that either. So for those of your clients who are looking for more friendly places to travel, tell them about Cuba. Is a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, as Melissa said, it's great to know. Huh? Would have never guessed.
Yeah.
We have
No, a lot of people aren't aware of that. Yeah.
We are discovering a lot of things today, yeah, with Cathy. Cathy, even if you said that, David, that you just do tailor tour for maybe a couple, do you set up sometime group that maybe a couple, 2-person could join, or you never do a group ever?
It's been probably 6 years since we did that sort of thing. So we don't plan to do it anymore. It's just not really who we are. And obviously we're also, on the higher end of the spectrum. That's who we cater to. So, for the most part, our clientele are not looking for that. I never say never. So, if we see that maybe, I don't know, post-COVID environment, people will want that again. Yeah. I'm hearing the opposite. I'm hearing that people are actually going to start pulling away from those kinds of trips more, to have more privacy, more social distancing and that sort of thing. So I don't know. We'll see.
Especially your private tour already have the guide and the driver. So you're in the same scenario, but just for you or your family.
Exactly. I would rather, if it was somebody like that who just was like, two of us, we like being with other people, I would rather figure out a way to encourage them to build their own group of friends.
Yeah.
And design a trip for them. I'll tell you, they're not going to spend any more doing a trip like that with us, and it'll be so much higher level, so much better of a trip than joining one of these fixed itinerary groups where it's just a totally different experience. And they're not going to save money, so why do it?
Yep. So Anna, hola Anna, love to go on a fun trip to Cuba. You be with us. I'll make sure to remember. Suzanne, can we get a single sheet with a culinary and maybe another as a flyer? I am at a charity golf tournament and would love to generate interest. So
great. I'll tell you what, maybe we can even design something just for you. So make a note, Dominique, have her send you and me an email about this. When is this charity golf tournament?
Suzanne, would you like to tell us when is a charity while you're typing it? Katie, when I was there, the tour company I used included a speaker each day that talk about architecture and the US and Cuba relationship. So of course you can do the same, huh? Oh
yes, we do it all the time. Even when it's just a group of 2 people, we will have in addition to their guide, we will have various people meet them. So it's not going to be them standing in front of a room if it's a really small group. We're going to have a famous diplomat, who's got such an interesting background. We'll come and join them for lunch. If they're interested in architecture, I'll have a friend of mine is the chief architect behind the renovation of Old Havana. He'll come meet them for dinner. If they're into music, not only will we do a private performance for them if they want, but I'll have artists come out with us in the evening. It's that kind of thing where you mix and mingle with the cultural elite of Cuba from all walks of life. Yeah. So we really want to touch on the interests of your clients as much as possible. So it's not just the guide that they will experience while they're there.
So the charity tournament is on Friday. So if you can together.
You mean 2 days?
In 2 days?
Thank you for the advance notice, Suzanne. I told you maybe I shouldn't have said. I said 60 to 90, and then I said we never like to say no. Now I'm stuck. I've got to do something here.
This is just able to give some.
I know, of course, I know. Yes, of course, we'll get you something as fast as possible, so in time for this tournament. So just right away after this, please send a more detailed email with your request.
Yeah, I have.
And I'll get my team on it.
Voilà. And Anna, you said you have a lot of clients who love food and architecture, so definitely, and diving. So it's actually a nice idea, and not far in the Americas. It's a great idea. And I think a new destination for many in a way, and that didn't have the chance.
Right. And let me just, one other thing I want to add, because I know there are probably lots of non-American agents as well on this call. The thing about Cuba is, so for Americans, it's almost a necessity to have a trip created by a DMC like us. There are legal reasons for it. It just makes everything easier. And, but for those who are traveling from outside, here's the thing about Cuba. It's still a third world country. It's not ready yet to be a destination where you just book a hotel and maybe a transfer and voila, go off, enjoy your visit. You will not get the proper experience. I'm telling you right now. If you don't book with us, fine. But I would encourage you, for all of your clients, you really want for them to enjoy Cuba properly. Come back, tell everybody else about it. Make sure they're on some kind of a guided kind of journey while they're there. It's really important.
You're the best, David. So no one is going to book out. It's just you. Huh? That's it.
Please come to us first. Come to us first.
Yes. You're full of ideas, and I know you for so many years. I know we start recently, but I've known you for a long, long time. So I'm so pleased that you're part of our collection, and it's an honor to have you actually. Voilà.
Thank you.
So I think that would be, unless you have maybe a few words to conclude. If not, I think that's going to be the end of our webinar for today.
No, I will just say this. It's we can never cover enough in a webinar, even the nice 1 hour webinar like this. So we're here. I'm available as much as possible, more so than I even like to be available right now, because I'm also not traveling like I usually do. So we're happy to speak. Dominique has this great 365 Connect. 365. Yes, and so you can literally book a one-on-one session with me during the week yourself, and we have slots. You just pick it, and you're on our schedule. But when you have a client request, invite us in. We will get on a call with you and your client to talk about Cuba. We're happy to help you. Make the sales process easier. It's we're on the same team. That's how we do business. So
thank you very much, David. Thank you, everyone. Gracias a todos.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you again to see you, and we'll see you tomorrow for more webinar. Bye bye, everyone, and thank you, David.
Bye, everyone.
Really, really interesting.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Appreciate it.